Walk into any British corner shop in 1985 and the fridge told you exactly where you were. Bright orange Irn-Bru next to murky brown Dandelion and Burdock. Lucozade wrapped in crinkly cellophane. Vimto cordial on the shelf above. Foreign visitors stared at these bottles like they'd stumbled into a chemistry lab, while British kids grabbed them without a second thought. 10 drinks that made perfect sense if you grew up here, and absolutely none if you didn't. Dandelion and Burdock. Dark brown, fizzy, and made from plants you'd normally pull out of your garden. Dandelion and Burdock confused every foreign visitor who encountered it, though British kids had been drinking it since the Middle Ages when it started as a type of light mead. By the 1980s, it had evolved into a carbonated soft drink that tasted like licorice mixed with sarsaparilla, slightly herbal with a sweet finish that lingered long after the bubbles disappeared. Ben Shaw's had been making it since 1871 in Huddersfield, selling first in Yorkshire and then across Britain until the company changed hands in 1993. The Corona Popman delivered it door to door every Friday in large glass bottles that cost 60p each, with a 10p deposit you got back when you returned the empties, and families would choose their flavours for the week like they were placing an order at a restaurant. Children marked the labels with pen to make sure siblings didn't steal sips from their personal bottle. The taste sat somewhere between root beer and something earthier, darker, almost medicinal in a way that suggested it might actually be good for you, even though it wasn't. To British kids, it was just another flavour option alongside lemonade and cola, ordinary as rain. Did the Corona Popman deliver to your house? What flavour did you get every week? Lucozade. You knew you were properly ill when your mum came home from the chemist with a bottle of Lucozade. The glass bottle wrapped in crinkly yellow cellophane sat on your bedside table like a trophy for being sick enough to warrant it, the bright orange liquid inside glowing with the promise of glucose-powered recovery from whatever had landed you in bed on a school day. William Walker Hunter created it in Newcastle in 1927 as Lucozade, a glucose and water solution that gave energy to sick children who couldn't face solid food. Beecham's bought it in 1938 and renamed it Lucozade, selling it exclusively through pharmacies until the 1980s when the whole game changed. The slogan Lucozade aids recovery appeared on every bottle and advert, cementing its reputation as medicine rather than treat, which meant drinking it when you weren't ill felt vaguely transgressive. Everything changed in 1983 when they ditched the cellophane wrapper, switched to plastic bottles, and rebranded as a sports drink with Daley Thompson, running up hills in the adverts. Lucozade replaces lost energy became the new slogan, suddenly positioning it as something athletes drank rather than something your gran brought to hospital visits. Orange and lemon flavours arrived in 1986, followed by tropical in 1990, and just like that, the drink shed its pharmaceutical origins and became something you could buy at the corner shop without feeling poorly. Nobody could describe Irn-Bru's flavour to anyone who hadn't tasted it, but that didn't stop Scotland treating it like a national treasure since 1901 when AG Barr first launched the bright rust orange drink as Irn-Bru. The name changed to Irn-Bru in 1946 when new regulations said brand names had to be literally true. And since the drink wasn't brewed and contained only trace amounts of iron in the form of 0.002% ammonium ferric citrate, the phonetic spelling solved the legal problem while keeping the pronunciation intact. The recipe remained a closely guarded secret known to exactly 3 people: former chairman Robin Barr, his daughter Julie Barr, and one unnamed board director. Rumour had it they never flew on the same plane in case a crash killed the recipe with them. 32 ingredients went into each batch, mixed in vats holding 8,000 litres at a time, producing a flavour people described as bubblegum, cream soda, orange, grapefruit, or rust, though none of those descriptions captured what made it taste the way it did. The 1980s brought the famous Made in Scotland from Girders advertising campaign, a cheeky reference both to the drink's orange-brown colour and the tiny amount of actual iron in the formula, playing up its association with tough Scottish steelworkers who drunk it to get through shifts rebuilding Glasgow Central Station at the turn of the century. Billy Connolly wrote an ode thanking Mr. and Mrs. Barr for saving his life on so many Sunday mornings, cementing its reputation as Scotland's premier hangover cure, and Sean Connery chose a crate of Irn-Bru for his exhibit in the National Museum of Scotland's Celebrity Selection. The flavour existed in its own category, recognizable to anyone who'd grown up drinking it and completely baffling to everyone else. Vimto. John Nichols created Vim Tonic in 1908 Manchester, selling it from his shop alongside herbs, spices and medicines before shortening the name to Vimto in 1913, when it officially became a soft drink rather than a medicinal tonic. The purple liquid combined grapes, berries and blackcurrants into a flavour Manchester claimed as its own, preferring it to just about any other soft drink you could name. Sold as both cordial that you diluted with water and pre-mixed carbonated bottles, Vimto had a winter tradition all its own. Pour the cordial into a mug, add hot water, and you had a warming drink that tasted like Christmas, even when it wasn't. The 1990s brought Purple Ronnie to the advertising campaigns, the slightly rude cartoon poet famous for his love of partying and innuendo-laden rhymes, one of which went, "Vimto is a smashing drink, so why not have a slurp? It's full of fizzy bubbles to make your bottom burp." The drink became massively popular in the Middle East during Ramadan, the high sugar content helping people through their daily fasts, a tradition stretching back 80 years that showed no signs of stopping. 6 more uniquely British drinks to go. Subscribe so you don't miss them. Ribena. Blackcurrant cordial didn't sound exciting until you learned H.W. Carter created it in Bristol in 1938, because blackcurrants contained massive amounts of vitamin C, and during World War II, the company held an almost complete monopoly on Britain's blackcurrant harvest, since the fruit had become nearly impossible to import. The government distributed it to children for health reasons, positioning it as preventative medicine rather than treatment for illness like Lucozade, and generations of British kids grew up drinking it, diluted with water at ratios that varied wildly depending on whose mum was doing the pouring. The concentrated purple syrup came in glass bottles kept in the cupboard. Make it too weak and you'd wasted your cordial allowance. Make it too strong and your teeth felt furry afterward, your tongue turning purple from the sugar. Ready-to-drink cartons arrived later with their own problems. The little plastic straws that came attached never punctured the foil circle properly on the first attempt, and by the third stab, you'd usually bent the straw at an angle that made drinking awkward. Beecham Group bought the brand in 1955, eventually merging into GlaxoSmithKline, who sold it to Japanese company Suntory in 2013. But through all the corporate changes, the classic blackcurrant flavour remained Britain's favourite, even after strawberry and blueberry versions appeared on shelves. It stained everything it touched a purple that never fully washed out. Tizer. Fred Dyson launched Pickup's Appetizer in 1924, shortening it to Tizer before the drink hit peak popularity in the 1980s. The bright red colour and citrus flavour made it a staple in every chippy school canteen and corner shop across Britain. The exact recipe remained secret even though the ingredients list appeared on the label, and A.G. Barr, who'd bought it in 1972 for £2.5 million, guarded the formula as carefully as they guarded Irn-Bru's. The fluorescent red was so intense it looked radioactive, which didn't stop kids from drinking it by the gallon or asking for it specifically when choosing what to have with fish and chips on Friday night. The 1985 advertising campaign introduced Tizer language where kids would insert "eyes" between syllables of words, creating a tongue-twister slang that Rory Bremner demonstrated on a promotional flexi-disc, and that caught on so thoroughly the Isle of Wight County Press reported children using it to the complete bewilderment of mums and dads. The colour-stained carpet's worse than red wine, curry or permanent marker, something any parent whose child had spilled it could confirm. Corona Pop. Friday meant the Corona Pop man arrived with his van full of glass bottles, taking orders from families who'd been customers for years and knew what they wanted. 1 bottle each, 60 pence per bottle, 10 pence deposit back when you returned the empties the following week. The large glass bottles rattled in their crates as he carried them to the door, and children would already know which flavour they'd chosen. Lemonade, orangeade, raspberry, cola, dandelion and burdock, or mixed fruit that tasted exactly like Vimto but couldn't be called that for trademark reasons. Families marked the labels with pen to prove which bottle belonged to which child, preventing the inevitable arguments when someone drank from the wrong one, and the communal lemonade bottle stayed unopened until Sunday dinner when it would be shared among everyone at the table. The gravy burps that followed after drinking something fizzy with a roast dinner became their own sense memory, transporting you straight back to childhood's Sunday afternoons. the Corona delivery service died sometime in the late 1980s, killed by the 1-2 punch of SodaStream machines letting people make fizzy drinks at home and supermarkets making it easier to buy bottles in bulk. A milkman for fizzy drinks, delivered weekly in glass bottles you returned for deposit, felt like something from another era even while it was still happening. Shandy Bass. Non-alcoholic shandy came in small brown bottles and contained less than 0.5% alcohol, making it legal for children to drink while giving them the sophisticated feeling of having something vaguely beer-like. Bass brewers made the commercial version that mixed lemonade with beer flavoring, creating something that tasted mostly of lemonade with a faint malty aftertaste. Pubs sold it, off-licenses stocked it, and corner shops kept a few bottles on hand for kids who wanted to feel grown up, or adults who needed to drive. The alternative was making shandy at home by mixing actual beer with lemonade in whatever ratio seemed appropriate, which adults did regularly and which resulted in drinks that ranged from barely alcoholic lemonade to beer that's slightly less bitter than usual. Children drank it at family gatherings thinking they were sophisticated, teenagers drank it before they were old enough for actual alcohol, and designated drivers drank it to have something that felt like a proper drink without the consequences. Cream soda. British cream soda bore no resemblance to the dark American version, instead arriving as a pale pink or clear liquid that tasted intensely of vanilla and fizzed more aggressively than any other soft drink on the shelf. Ben Shaw's and bars both made versions, and the flavour sat somewhere between liquid vanilla ice cream and sweetness that shouldn't have tasted as good as it did. Mixed with a scoop of vanilla ice cream, it became an ice cream float that appeared at every birthday party, the ice cream melting into the fizz and creating a sweet foam that stuck to your upper lip. Sweeter than lemonade, less sharp than cola, and more vanilla-forward than anything else in the fridge. Bongo. The jingle hit British airwaves in 1983 and never left. Bongo. Bongo. They drink it in the Congo. The tropical fruit juice drink came in cartons with plastic straws attached to the side, the straw wrapper colour-coded to match the flavour even though there was only one flavour. A blend of mango, passion fruit, pineapple and orange that tasted tropical and nothing like anything you'd find in the Congo. The carton design featured jungle animals. The jingle wormed into your brain after one listen and stayed there for decades, and every school lunchbox in Britain contained one at some point between 1983 and 2008 when production stopped. Parents bought them in bulk from supermarkets, children stabbed the straws through the foil circles with varying degrees of success, and the drink was sweet enough to make your teeth hurt, but tropical enough to feel healthier than cola. Production returned in 2013 after enough people who'd grown up drinking it demanded its comeback, and every British person born between 1975 and 1995 can still sing the entire jingle from memory, even if they haven't heard it in 30 years. The jingle outlasted the drink, burned into memory long after the cartons disappeared from shelves. Can you still sing the Bongo jingle? Be honest. That's 10 drinks that defined 1980s Britain. Subscribe for more nostalgic deep dives. Comment below. Which drink do you miss most? Or which one did you hate?